Hello, everybody. This is Becoming Quantum Conscious, and my name is Bart Sharp, and you are on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 107.7 and 105.3 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Also seen on the UPRN website, cable television at Roku, um, Facebook, X, YouTube, Spreaker, and other internet platforms all around the world. And wow, this is a really cool show, in my opinion, today because we have Hakim Awyan with us today, who is grandfather was one of the beginners, or maybe the founder of Egyptian chematology. And what that means is um, the study of the oldest perspectives of Egypt that is known. They're always looking for a much deeper exploration of how these mysterious lands of Egypt were formed, the temples, the pyramids. And my guest Hakim Awyan is a expert as well in these, leading tours, writing, doing private work, uh, sound healing. And have I missed anything? Welcome to the show, Hakim. How are you
Thank you
doing?
very I'm good. Thank you very much for this wonderful entrance and hello everybody. Uh, I'm so happy to be on your show today, Bart.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. The last time we came, I'm still giddy from that show because I learned so many things from that show, particularly that concept that we have 360
60,
sensory awareness systems, not five,
not
like
five.
they tell us in
Mm,
school, or at least in
No, no, no.
American schools. It is so much more, and this is such an important part of Egyptian mysticism is to have that awareness. And of course, going to the temples, the pyramids, and stuff help facilitate the opening of more of these sensory systems. Wouldn't you not agree?
Yes, of course, definitely. This is how the idea of the temples originally started to refill those senses. And the idea of adding the illusion for us to block it is also very old. And it's not
Mm.
only Western, it's also here in Egypt. They tell us only four senses, not five.
Wow. Yes. Yes. And you said something really interesting. You said that we are reconnecting. You said it differently, but you're reconnecting to the sensuous senses. So that would kind of put out the question, at one time humanity had all of these things operated and operating, and yet the illusion to block them kind of came in. Is
Hmm.
am I hearing you correctly in that
Yes,
statement?
yes, very much. Um, my grandfather speaks about the early beginning of the idea of the temple, where it's a power source meridian in the ground that the people feel attracted to by their natural senses. You feel good in this spot and you want to stay here. And with time, people realize how important that is. So they build a chapel, and then the chapel had a fence, and then the fence became bigger, and then it became a temple. The idea of the priest was in to organize it in the beginning, have became higher way to control it, and this is where the idea of the religion became, but or start. But
Mm.
originally, it was to harness these power in nature to uh, powering our senses and our natural flow. Uh, yeah, but the blocking these senses is very started then since the history that we know of, the written one.
Wow. It's almost like you're really saying this is the core essence of who we are is to become actualized in these 360 senses. And the ley lines, the meridian lines, the temples are almost like a form of a textbook to teach us how to get there. And, so everybody would remember it through the eons, you know.
I love the way you put it. This is perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're focused on this. This is part of what your life mission is to help open this up through the temples.
Yes. It is a great responsibility to follow such a big names like my family members. But yes, this is what I would love to do, and I feel really, really good. The more I understand another uh, information or start to see things different, and when I start to show
Mm,
it to people as well, uh, the gift of seeing the people feeling the emotion that the temple pulse and knowing that the idea we have in our head about this emotion is totally different than how does it really feels is really beautiful to look at. The as you just said, it was like a library, but not to read the emotion or to understand about it by reading it, but by feeling it. So
mm.
I can plant the idea inside your head by giving you directly the feeling, not the information that leads you to the feeling. So the ancient Egyptian knows how to connect directly to your subconscious through the building.
Wow.
So normally for us now, I have to read an article and then my eyes will give this data to the brain and the brain will analyze it and understand an emotion based on it. For the ancients, they reach from unknowing to the emotion directly. And now I am working on this research. I didn't speak about that yet, but uh, about how the ancients did use the pillars in every temple to put them in a certain order that connect to a musical note, but by the frequency pulse. So it gives a specific feeling to the person entering the temple. Small example, in the temple of Horus in Upper Egypt, exactly on the door, there is a point. When you stand in it, you can see the whole temple by 180 degree,
Wow.
exactly as the eye of the bird view. And this is the temple of Horus, so that make you see how is Horus can see. So
Wow.
you
S-
realize how does it feel to be high looking at the things down.
as I listen to you, my body's about to just bust open in an awareness of just getting that vision about what it would be like to stand in that place and have that 180 perception. And it brings that question, it's like, well, what can activate in me right in that reality? And so those in the audience, just Hakeem has been in these places, and so he knows this energetically, and he's sharing something very profound with us, just not only through his words, but through what's going on inside of him. And there's, whether you hear this show a week from now or at present tense, it's happening. So when you stand at that spot, what does it feel like?
It have two sides you can feel. The inside aspect or the physical aspect in that represent there is a higher wisdom that can see me with this view. So I am watched or protected by this vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And another feeling of I can see all the picture as I am part of this higher divine, and I must see all my life with this perspective, the 180, able to see all of it.
Mm.
The temple and the ritual that used to be followed inside the temple was to plant this emotion inside so you can recall it anytime. And then you don't need anymore a priest, or you don't need a person to show you the way. You have the feeling. You
You had
activated the netter inside of you that we call a god now. I don't need you to show me again. I already have
wow.
it. It is
I
crazy.
feel that somewhere between my primal brain and my pineal gland, in a spot right in between that, as well as in my solar plexus when you talk. And I shared this because I just asked the audience, it's like, question your body. Hakim is leading us on this journey. Uh, and now after this show, I need to practice.
The the perfect practice for that is to imagine this great pyramid that is who you are, uh, having the fire, which is the solar plexus, exactly as you felt it. It's in the spot of the king's chamber, and the pyramid is exactly on the same spot in your solar plexus. They are perfectly
Mm-hmm.
aligned. And imagine you on top of that pyramid, looking at the peak and the four sides. This
Wow.
is the third eye activation, best training technique. You can see all the four sides of it. And the four sides is spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional. This is how you become a healthy sesh. This is the ancient Egyptian word of describing a healthy human in a soul and mind, emotion, and body.
This is transcendental. You said that it affects the emotional, etherical, mental, and physical. Is that what you said? I
Uh,
mean, I'm starting to get a blur in me because the energy is just flowing with me.
uh,
Uh,
Emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual,
all molding together.
all molding together to the center,
Yeah,
which is who
yeah.
you are.
And you said something really that brings me to another question. When you go into a temple like that, and all the places in the temple, do they kind of mirror or reflect or resonate different parts of the human body? Is like a it's almost like they're both, there's a map there or something like that that they hold, were they designed that way to reflect the human design? Does that make
Uh,
sense?
Definitely. Uh, it was built to reflect a certain truth about your emotion that bring it close to your eyes so you can see it clearly. And just by looking at it or realizing you have this feeling, your body does the rest. Your mind does the rest of the job, completing the missing parts. Because now I can see it with clarity without any distraction. And
Hmm.
many of it is connected to the our cycle of birth and the thing we lose in the way from the spiritual realm to the physical one. The ancients was fascinated by bringing this power into the physical realm and try to understand how that they both communicate. So big parts of the temple does reflect on a certain points in the body or certain emotions or certain ideas on the four level to serve the purpose of the temple itself. So if it's the temple of Horus, then it will be serving the third eye and the higher vision and the belief of that I am protected many aspects. So the temple will be pointing in the pieces of body and mind and soul to activate what the temple represents. For
Mm.
another example, the Karnak temple have the Sekhmet chapel where the statue of Sekhmet is. Uh, Many times I have had people inside there, and the reaction is all the time different. Some people are crying, some people can't take it, some people run out, some people loves it so much. And I was wondering, what does it mean? Why does the people feel this way? And my personal experience in this place that I felt familiar to a statue. I'm sorry to call her just a statue, but this is it, the idea, only the idea to my brain was weird. How can I feel familiar to a female statue with a head of a lioness? You know, this is weird somehow. But after more I go again and again, I realize it is the size and the measurements of the room give us this feeling. So the brilliant ancients had the size of the statue and the space of the room. So where you're standing, you will look at the statue exactly the same scale as the child looking at the adult.
And
This is what
therefore, that your emotions seem to explode just like, or the emotions you felt as a child get multiplied and kind of come up inside of you. And
and comes
if they're,
back. And sometimes it surprised me because you didn't know you're gonna see this, and it didn't come to your mind. You just felt the emotion, and you don't know how. You
mm,
don't know what did remind me of this. What did remind me, for example, of the cruelty of my father, or the how nice was my dad was, or how bad was. It brings out what I named, or like to call, friendly fear, or this friendly power. It is someone I know very powerful, like the parents, but it's on my side. They're my
wow,
parents. So
it's, go ahead.
it is mind blowing their understanding of how our mind will react to a certain picture in a certain size.
Mm, wow, that's phenomenal. And so this was kind of designed that way and then forgotten. And then through your perspectives you've learned through your grandfather in Egyptian chematology, you're starting to explore these concepts again and discover, interpret their uses. I mean, and I think this is kind of an awakening of some other people on the planet as they go to sacred sites. Uh, as I do the stuff in France, and I you know talk to people in England, and they're having similar experiences.
Mm.
But my goodness, this one is a really profound one. I've yet to hear anybody have that type of possibility, that you could actually have that activated and brought up as a way to clear it.
Uh,
Uh,
it, it is really. special, and there is a more that we don't know. But the awakening, or me knowing this, and you feeling what you feel and see what you experience in all the holy sites you visit, it shows you that this type of knowledge, or this knowledge, doesn't go anywhere. It will never disappear, and it have the mind of its own. It picks the crew and it come up, and no matter how hard some people try to push it and hide it, will never be hidden. It will
Yes, it,
just took a time and will shine again
and
better.
I think some of the older or more recent discoveries of Egyptian history, it almost gives this perception that all of this stuff was made for the kings and queens or the higher ups, so to speak. But from what you're saying, this is something for everyone at all levels to have that type of clarity or possibility. And how do you feel about that concept?
Uh, I know it was in the beginning, or way back to the beginning, that we don't know when it actually started. It was for everyone, and it was uh, what we call till now a road or a method, that the people go and learn the method from the teacher, and now I have his wisdom and I leave. It was not owned by anyone. But when the history start to be written, and there is politics, then this is the history that we know of today, with the kings and the queens and the priests, and this one is the one that start to write things down, so we get to forget them. My grandfather said they wrote it down so we can forget it. Ah,
Can
they
you explain that a little bit? They
of
wrote
course.
it down so they could forget it.
So we forget it. They didn't forget it. The
Mm,
they write it down, so we stop the idea of the teaching by just teaching by the words, because
ah,
the elders in the past used to only teach, and you have to know it all by heart, not to have the book. Because if you have the book, you're not going to have it in your mind. No
mm,
book. I'll tell it to you orally, and you have to keep it in your heart and your mind. This is
yes.
why they added the music into it, and they made it into songs. So it becomes easier for us to know. This is why all religions now sing and chant their Quran or Bible or anything. This is why we still chant it till today, because the ancients started it as chanting, as music in a very organized words, so they can keep it in their mind and not to lose it.
Mm.
Until
But
today, there is some of these stories and brails are mentioned and passed through a generation and a generation. The language have changed, but the story is still there, and the perspective behind it still there within the people.
wow, it's like written in your DNA, written in your blood, and it's all accessible to you. Uh, you just have to understand what that feels like. It's, that's incredible.
Yeah.
When you when you
Yeah.
when you talk about the lion, you know the statue there. I What does that symbolize? Why did they you think they used the lion?
Uh, the lioness is a representing the strong feeling, or the strength within a female in a certain time, like the mom in a dangerous time, or protecting the child, or all of that. And they picked the
Mm,
female lioness because in nature, she's the one who hunt or take care of the cubs, um, does mostly everything. Her name means the powerful one or the capable, and she represents rage or anger somehow, but not the one that can hurt, the one that can create or
mm,
protect, uh, like uh, like our inner fire.
a pure
And
creature.
it uh, they call her the one that clears your way, the one that clears the way, the one that burns your enemies.
Yes.
Uh, and
It,
even her
it,
followers used to have fear from her because she's connected big time to the karma as well,
mm,
exactly as the parents. I can be good. It can be good. You can be a good. You can be punished. You can be rewarded. You
yes.
can be punished. Same, same concept, but in a bigger picture that never goes anywhere.
Wow.
And
Wow.
believing this concept is very healthy, very beautiful for us as humans, knowing that uh, no matter what you do, will come back to you. Then I'll be nice to my neighbor. I'm not gonna cut a tree. I will follow the nice stuff. I don't want to be punished by Sekhmet, uh, like this. It's
Hmm.
a very intelligent uh, way of building a bridge for us to communicate with each other, knowing your whatever you're gonna do is coming back for you.
Yes. Yes. And so much of the lion is also about present tense because she has so much she has to be aware of or required to be aware of. She
Mm.
can't hold emotions from her past there, but if she has to be fierce because that's what the moment requires of her, she can be very fierce and angry. But yet, just like that, it moves on. She moves on to the next thing that is required of her. Uh,
I love
it's
that.
yeah, it's just it's. I think it's quite beautiful the way the lion is represented in that fierceness. Um, with that, with the French, the symbolism, kind of the secret French symbolism, um, the lion, and it's a male lion, is represented by Jesus and the Son. They all three have this um, symbolism of the same. With that, just a
Uh,
little incidental because it's so much about that fierceness to look consciousness straight in the eye and be totally present with what is in front of you. Uh,
I've
so I
never
mean,
looked at it that way. This is beautiful. Yeah.
but it's true with that with what you're talking about clearing the childhood emotions too, or being confronted by them. It's what a great opportunity that is to feel that with such intensity. And so you're bringing people on your tours to this place.
Yes. Yes.
Be prepared, people.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks about their past as something to be feared, whereas it's really an opportunity to really know yourself and know that on the other side of that, um, all of the what you've been carrying or repressing, there's something greater that can be opened. Uh, and gosh, it makes me want to go to Egypt. So you're doing tours in November and
Yeah.
throughout the winter. Perchance you're available for private tours as well, but also group tours.
Yes. Uh, I've been in this field for a while, and my family as well. Our upcoming tour, actually called the Roots of Isis, we're following all the powerful female figures along Egypt, from Alexandria all the way to Aswan. Uh, and we're definitely visiting Sekhmet, and we have her in a red line. Like,
Mm.
people must be prepared. Yeah. So get prepared, get ready.
Get ready.
Get
You
ready.
know, who wants a mundane vacation when you can have a vacation where you end the tour and you feel like you're a different person and you're opened and you've let go of things and other things have activated and you go into your other world that you've been rebirthed in some ways. To look at it all
Rebirth.
very different.
Yeah. Rebirth,
That's
that's the right word. That's the perfect word.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it is, and so you can get in touch with Hakim and www dot Hakim Hakim Awan Awyan.com or at Geb and Nut Tours. That's GEBANDNUT. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Journey.
So journeys. So either one of those will get you linked in with all of that. And we're at midway point of the show, so I just want to tell everybody that you are with Hakim I1, and we are exploring the ancient mysteries of Egypt and the temples and the pyramids and stuff. Hakim is an Egyptian chematologist. His grandfather was the founder of this, and this has been passed on, and this is the most ancient perspectives of what this is. And we're still learning today about the ancient perspectives. Interesting that this vibrational point in history, the vibrations are getting higher and higher, and therefore the consciousness is seeing things differently than it has before. So this is a very important conversation on this show today, is how I see it. But I got to do my laundry at this point, so I want to tell everybody that you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious, and my name is Bart Sharp, and this is the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans, Louisiana, on UPRN website, Roku, Spreaker, YouTube, X, and Facebook. So, Hakeem, just a general question out there: how does sound activation play into this? Because you do sound work. Some people call it sound healing. A friend of mine, Penny Loftus, who will be on the show in about a month or so, calls it sound activations. What do you call it, and how do you use it?
Uh, I call it sound healing, okay. Sound work, okay. Uh, how would it work? Actually, it's a funny story. It started with me in Isis temple. It was my first time in the temple with uh, a great professor, God bless her soul. Her name is Carmen Bolter. And uh, I was there in the temple, and there is a big piece of granite. After the people rolled their time, I took my break. I snake out, running away, and I sit on this stone, looking at the Nile. And I thought I have like 10 minutes break, and then we're gonna keep up our day. It's a regular tour. Lots of people. We had 30 something person, so it's a big tour. And suddenly, I cannot move. My legs are numb, my back are numb, and all what I can feel is this uh, voice that wants to come out. And I am so shy. There is lots of people around me, and I don't know what to do. So I start only to hum while I'm closing my mouth. And the more I hummed inside, the echo inside of my body, which is not was never a loud voice, uh, the more this numbing is getting higher and the buzzing is getting higher, and uh, I stayed in my spot while the people is waiting for me, and I'm making a huge problem for 40 something minutes, and I can't move. The and I was terrified. I know that Carmen gonna kick me, you know. And I don't know what to do about it, but the moment was too magical to cancel it if I can. And when she found me and tried to let's go, I start to move and I literally can't. I'm not all functioning, and some of the guards thought I lost consciousness, and they start to bring me tea and cold water and stuff like that. But after that, I cried a lot, and I don't know where all of these tears are coming from. And I'm shy of it because for us here in Egypt, they teach us as men. Men doesn't cry. You can't cry. You know.
Hmm.
So it's very wrong, of course. But I was so shy of it. I was trying to cover myself. I was trying to hide. I couldn't. I was. There was a lots of clearing, things coming out, and I don't know which is which and what is what. But after that, and more experiences, I just let it happen. And I realized that the frequency of each person with me in those places recall a specific note that he need that the temple can provide through me.
Mm.
So if I have you, for example, inside the king's chamber, you need the vibration X, your frequency will resonate into the place, coming back at me. Whatever the voice I'm bringing out will reshape it to what you need. So it's not my voice, I'm just a tool for the site to manipulate. So no matter
Mm.
what sound is generated, crystal balls, tuning fork, will change, the frequency of it will change based on what you need. And this is the
Wow.
significance of most of the temples that's still on the old shape, because when the new era comes and people change in how the temple look to serve the new purpose, some of the functions stop, and some places still function and some places not. And now I use the voice to realize which places are still functional, which places are not.
Wow. So,
For me, Isis Temple is one, a great one. Of course, the Great Pyramid and some of the chapels in Saqqara that have a place that my grandfather used to call healing, the Sound Healing Hospital, and it's a big part of Saqqara that shortly he says that they used to diagnose the people by listening to their frequency, knowing what is wrong with the patient sitting on the crystal altar through his
mm,
frequency, and
mm,
giving him the voice back that he needs will reharmonize his body. It's a really different experience, allowing myself uh, and admit, okay, I don't know, show, you know, uh, and try. Then it did really work, and it's one of the most important keys that I use today. Sound.
that's a phenomenal story, and it really gives a lot of evidence to that as a leader of a group, you are a conduit. You're bringing it through, and the deeper you learn, because it's my assumption when I say this, you've not learned everything you need to learn from these sites, even though you go regularly, you live in the area, you're vibrating it, you've done this for lifetimes, you've done it through your ancestry, and still there's more to learn. But you bring that up to anybody that's around you. That's and I know that might sound, as we call it in Texas, bragging, but I think it's a simple fact of how people that are in tuned and they have that intention do it. Just like as your grandfather and you have followed the path of hematology, just that commitment to say, I'm going to find the most ancient information here that's been hidden. Somehow it's going to be revealed to you easier when you have that attitude and you're sincere. Am I
Yes,
getting close to that? Am I saying it right?
big time. Um, as the more I realize I don't know enough, the more I know that I don't know enough, the more I allow my mind to be open for more possibilities.
Mm,
And uh, and I am sure in every tour, the people with me receive the picture differently based on how much they know. So if I have an engineer, he will see different things. If I have a person who always have been interested in frequency like yourself, will see different things. So every person look at his experience and learn more, and mixing or gathering all of these experiments
mm,
uh, or experiences of the people have um, did help to learn more. There is
yes.
no doubt of the connection of these temples to the stars, and that some of the planets and the stars when they are aligned with the temples, they add more to the power of it. But when I've tried it in different days and see that there is different results, I start to ask and speak more with my wife, Corina Chrysler. You
Yes,
know,
I was just going to bring her up. Karina Chrysler, one of the real experts of Egyptian astrology and regular astrology. She gives astrological readings. Been on the show and will be on again. You two make quite a team in finding out what is the best time to go to certain places, and you design your tours astrologically.
yes, she does it, and she's good. You know, she's really good, and it's kind of how do you say it? Like clicking in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I give lots of questions. She does the same, and then we match the point. Mm, and it really feels different when you visit the temple based on the time the temple is activated. And we find it more than one time. Oh, so the day we are visiting is the day the star is there, and it's the day originally the temple used to have the ritual or the ceremony in that day, and it's mentioned and kept. Even the ancient Egyptians used to use the same days to make their ritual or ceremony in the temple, and the place feels more powerful. For someone who visited two or three times, will see the difference. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there is, there is different alignments with different stars that will give different purposes to the temple or different power points to the temple. A lot that we can research, but even if we don't know how does it 100% work, but being in the spot, following the ritual, will give you the benefit of the temple. Either we understand all of it or we don't.
Mm, wonderful.
Uh, yeah.
Is there a place or location that you feel you have a particular affinity to more than other temples?
Um, yes. I, for me, the King's Chamber is one of the most significant spot in all Egypt. Uh,
Is this in the Giza pyramid?
the Giza Pyramid, the
Okay.
Great Pyramid, uh, the King's Chamber. It's so far the strongest out of the body experience that I have ever had in my life was in this place. Uh, with my auntie Shahrazad Abdul Hakim. She's the elder daughter of Abdul Hakim Awyan, my grandfather. And she have a wonderful voice, very powerful one. And in the place, I really felt all the senses is not blocked, but concentrating in one point, and it make you beam your power into yourself, clearing it. Unforgettable something experience that can you will always have it in your mind. This one is the one of the most important or one of the most interesting places for me. I think no matter how much we keep looking into this huge question mark that we named the pyramids of Giza, uh, we know 5%. I think I
Wow.
assume there is lots of secrets around this place, um, connected to water and frequency and ley lines, all in one. My uncle put it in a very nice way. He says it's like giving a caveman a laptop. Yeah,
Indeed. I mean,
yeah.
there's places in England and France that are connected to the Giza pyramid. It radiates out that strongly. For some of us who use more New Age terms, we call it a stargate. And all of this energy from all kinds of star systems come in, much like my area of France and the southwest France has Pic de Bogarache. But
Mm,
every stargate is different. I mean, they hold different capabilities that match the human design. And for me, when I go into the Giza, I've never been there, of course, but when I go energetically, it feels like it's above the crown, and it's the crown, and it's activating something very profoundly there. Uh, and I just wonder, what it's offering to you. Uh, what illusions, and that's an interesting word you bring up. What illusions are you moving aside so your 360 sensory systems can be actualized even more today? Uh,
uh,
just food for thought. Kind of makes you want to go to the Giza pyramid, doesn't it?
yes.
I just send that out to everybody in the audience. And so you can check out Hakim Awyan. It's Awyan, his website, hakimiwan.com, and really look into the tours and what he offers in this extraordinary adventure of going into Egypt and going to the Giza and various places. When we think about the King's Chamber, do you go in there? Is it like a large group, or is it a few, or What?
Yeah, the biggest group I have had inside was 35 persons.
Wow.
The bigger the group, little bit harder to have uh, a spiritual experience by each person, because in my tour I work with each person individually
Mm-hmm.
to train them or show them how to use the site or the room uh, to activate their voice. So it's not only me um, who's toning. And the beginning is me, and then I show the people step by step to follow up with me. So it is a perfect ritual to reactivate their throat chakra, and this is allow them to speak their truth or deal with their truth, and reactivate also the frequency of the words coming out of our mouth. So it can carry more emotions, or the
Mm.
emotions that you feel. Um, so most of the time we have 10, we have 15, and we take few minutes with each person, and then we make a group experiment, all of us.
Mm.
Uh, the the place is mostly empty. Have what they call a sarcophagus, which is, I know it is a resonance box, and we also use that. We can't mention because um, this is illegal, but no problem. Yeah, all any rituals or a meditation into the ancient sites is illegal.
Wow.
But yeah, it's all over Egypt, all over the world as well, not only in Egypt. But we still do whatever we want to do. Nobody can nobody can stop it. Uh,
It is, and as people experience these things and they take it home, then somehow that consciousness is spread out in your own family and community uh, through that. And this is a real gift that we have. And we're coming to the end of the show, so I want to ask you a question. But first, I want you to think about it while I do the call letters and talk about next week. So, the question I have for you, Hakeem, is what is what do you think Egypt and these sacred sites have to offer to humanity right now? What can we really how can we change the world with this? Something like that. So, as you contemplate your answer, I'm going to tell everybody that you are listening to Hakim Awyan, The Energetic Anatomy of Egyptian Temples. My name is Bart Sharp, and the show is Becoming Quantum Conscious. And you are on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 105.3 out of New Orleans. Next week, we will have Alethea Sophia and myself talking about water consciousness. And it's going to be really fun because we're going to be at LeConte, France. I'm going back across the big pond to France once again. And my first show will be with Alethea in her beautiful hotel, along with her husband, Pete Wilson. And I love doing stuff at LeConte. So we'll see you next week. And Hakeem,
Wonderful question. Do you have another hour? No, I'm just kidding. What Egypt can offer to humanity, or how can we serve humanity through the Egyptian teachings, is just to show or spot the light on how us are definitely connected. The biggest illusion we live, that we are separated, and uh, and to connect back to nature and our nature, by following the the ancient lifestyle, that it was based on connect and understanding
Mm.
each other's by looking into ourselves. So I can understand my surroundings by looking into me. And I have a very good gift for your people. I hope they like. Is a question you ask yourself every time you feel you're not in the right place, that can put you back into your four sides. It is, am I doing the right thing with the right people at the right time in the right place? And don't accept less than the four sides perfect. Then you will know you are perfect physical, spiritual, emotional, and mental. Thank you very, very much for inviting me in your show. That was real fun, and
Oh,
I hope your
it
people liked it too.
it's been such a pleasure. Uh, very profound as always, and hope to have you back again, Hakeem. And we'll see everybody next week. And everybody, wonderful blessings